Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to sing to one another. Please join with me. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Try it together. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We are so glad to be celebrating Shabbat with all of you. A reading from our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, by Ruth Bryn. She writes, I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity for love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world that God created and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine us all and to bring that vision to life. As we begin our Shabbat service together, we practice gratitude, even in times when we are not feeling it. Our tradition urges us to notice a moment from this week that just brought us even a moment of laughter or joy, to think about someone who did something kind for us, to think about a time in which we offered or gave something to someone else and we felt that sense of wholeness within us. And so as we move through our service, I just want to invite you to really hold on to whatever small moments of joy that you can find within yourselves. We're going to begin that practice together with Psalm 96, Shiru LaAdonai. The first two lines of Hebrew are on page 13 in the online prayer book.
Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Shir Tayalala, Ya Ela Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela. Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru LaAdonai, Shir Chadash. Ya Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela, Ya Ela Ela Ela. The Shabbat bride awaits us. Let us greet her in joy and in love. Words of Lecha Dodi can be found on pages 20 and 21 of the online prayer book. We're going to be singing the first two verses. That's on page 20, and on page 21, verses 5 and 9 of the top and bottom verses. Please join in singing with us. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבוריך, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, בשם ותפארת ותהילה. לך דודי בקלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו בדרך, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם יצוכה, סוף מעשה ומתחילה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Chapter 21. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שתדברי, לכבוד אדוני היום יגלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. If you are able, I invite you to rise at this time, to face the entrance to the room in which you are praying, and see her, Shabbat, arriving in you. Boi ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך המוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 Baruch Hu, our call to worship, page 28. Adonai Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. La 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 la
As we prepare for Shema, I am reminded of the teaching by Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk. He asked, why does the verse in the V'ahavta say, and these words that I command you this day shall be al levavecha, they shall be on your heart. Why doesn't the text say it should be in your heart? And the reason he suggests is that you can't always put something in your heart, that sometimes our hearts are just utterly closed. And that at those times, all we can do is place the words on our hearts in the hopes that one day our hearts will open and that these words will fall in. And so we're going to place words of unity, words of oneness, words of love, Shema, on our hearts with the hope that one day they may seep into us and become a part of our whole beings. We join together in these sacred words, Shema, on page 34.
I am here, I am now, asking when, asking how, only I, only thou, only one.
Fill my heart, still my soul, I am part of this whole. I will sing out my soul to the Lord.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad. You may be seated. Join together on page 36. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Words to prepare us for Michamocha, called cold feet. They say cold feet are a sign of turning back, the failure of internal will. But I say it can be the other way, the body's anticipation of things to come. Whether demons are nipping at our heels or gnawing within, here's the thing. Settle quietly, close your eyes, then take the most deliberate, deep breath, as though it were the very first, God's breath. And when you can feel it penetrate every bit of your being, making the rest of your life possible, you open your eyes and take that first step out into the sea of reeds. Watered feet are just the price of coming home. We join together in our prayer Micha Mocha on page 40.
We continue now with Hashkivenu on our supplemental page. You'll find it on the next after Micha Mocha. Join with me as we sing about God's presence and God's protection over us in the evening hours. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Leshalom Shelter us beneath the wings, oh Adonai, guard us from all harmful things, oh Adonai, keep us safe. We are going to continue now with the Amidah. The Amidah can be found on page 46, and we'll start with those words of Adonai, Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tefilatecha. God, open up my lips so that I may find the words for tonight's Amidah, so I might find the words that are deep in my heart. I will invite you to please rise. Open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'koneh Hakol Ve'zocher Ashtei Avot Ve'imahot U'mevii Gula Livneihem Leman Shemo Ve'ava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh Hakol Atah Rav Lehoshia Bashi HaRuach U'Mori HaGashem Mechakel Chaim Bechesed Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Ovlim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Bishenei Afar Michamocha B'Gavrurot Unidam Melach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua Ve'emanat Halachayot Hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh Hakol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yalelucha Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently with our own prayers, and when you are finished, you may be seated.
Tomorrow is our annual Yom Limud, our annual congregational day of learning, Shabbat of learning. Throughout the entire day, this entire Shabbat, we are going to be creating rich community with one another by immersing ourselves in learning. Why learning? Because our ancient sages taught that the words of Torah are to be sweet as honey on our tongues and in our minds and in our souls. And so we are going to bless this day of learning that we are entering into here on this Shabbat evening, and will continue all the way until Havdalah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We praise you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who has given us the gift of commandments in our lives, and among them, this commandment, to help us celebrate the sanctity of immersing ourselves in sweet words of Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Sweet as
Let us soak it up,
sweet as
let it all sink in.
sweet as honey on
Sweet
our
words of
tongue.
Torah.
Sweet as
Let us soak it up,
sweet as
let it all
honey.
sink in.
Sweet as honey on
Sweet
our
words of
tongue.
Torah.
Sweet as
Let us soak it up,
sweet as
let it all
honey.
sink in.
Sweet as honey on
Sweet
our
words of
tongue.
Torah. Let us soak it up,
Sweet as
let it all
honey.
sink in.
Sweet as honey on
Sweet
our
words of Torah.
I can't help but smile whenever I hear that song. It reminds me of our students all huddled together, singing it so joyously in our sanctuary, or our recent concert with Dan Nichols, when we were all singing that song from our own homes. And just looking forward to being together tomorrow for our day of very sweet learning together with Yom Limud. And one of the pieces of Torah from our tradition this week, from our Torah portion Yitro, that Rabbi Ross taught us about in his message, is something we learned from Moses' father-in-law, Yitro, Jethro, when he says to Moses that what you're doing isn't right, that the task is too big for you, it's too heavy for you. And he says to him, you cannot do it alone. And when I think of the Mishaberach prayer, I really think that it's our liturgy saying to us that we can't do this alone. We can't care for others whom we love alone. We can't survive or battle illness by ourselves alone. We can't live in a world that is broken and seek to repair it alone. And Misha Berach is reminding us that we need each other, whether we're physically together or whether we are spiritually and emotionally connected to one another and still together. We can't do this alone. And so as we recite Misha Berach tonight, we acknowledge the people in our lives, maybe even ourselves, who are in need of that extra help, who are in need of that extra support. And maybe reciting this prayer is our way of having a little bit of a nudge that maybe there's someone that we haven't called or someone that we need to show up for in a new way. Maybe we are the ones who need to ask others for help and say, you know what, actually, I'm really struggling and I need you to be there for me. And so I want to invite you to take a moment to think about someone whom you would like to offer this prayer of healing. It could be healing of the mind, healing of the body, or healing of the spirit, and to say their name out loud. And we hold those names together as we pray Misha Berach, our communal prayer for healing. It can be found in the middle of page 253.
May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, renewal of body, renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please join me for Aleinu, the bottom of page 282, and if you are able, please rise. Aleinu leshabech Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר ואדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
Words to help us prepare for the recitation of Kaddish, words found in the online prayer book on page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when our world is not complete, and those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we love. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. And yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For even each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world. In each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one, whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer this evening, we remember especially Edith Swerdlow, mother of Charles, Barry, Jonathan, and Neil Swerdlow, and Marion Blanton, mother of Marcia Aaron, whom death has taken from us in recent days. We link their names with Isidore Birnbaum, Eileen Breyer, Donald Brill, Ruth Diane, Norma Fier, Alan Freeling, Milton Glatt, Adrian Goldberg, Louis John Goldberg, Joseph Goldstein, Harold Green, Michael Grunfest, Joseph Guide, Harvey Heckler, Shirley Begovich Hike, Virginia Jacobs, Lillian S. Kaplan, Yona Kaland, Benjamin Klinger, Elsie Koff, Morel Levine, Lillian Lipkin, Arthur Love, Jack Martyr, Mildred Marks, Jim Maslin, Ned Miller, Eleanor Naction, Sarah Neiman, Stephen Novam, Donald Oshman, Anna Plotkin, Tammy Perkin, Michael Rabin, Pauline Reed, Lillian Roth, Barry Rubens, Rosalie Sachs, Sandra Schneider, Shirley Schleiferman, Selma Silverblatt, Alvin Talbot, Emmanuel Weintraub, Martha Windholz. If there are other names for us to include tonight, please speak them aloud. We think as well, of course, of all those who we name in our hearts, also those who have perished as victims of COVID-19 here in the United States and all throughout the world. Also all the innocent victims of violence in the world that we must escort, guide to healing. With all of them close at heart, we say, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. The memory of the righteous is an everlasting blessing. Together we give thanks for the blessing of life. With the words of Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. If you're able, please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'almad yivrach chilutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach ve'alam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal. Shemei dekudsha richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechabata. Da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru amen. Giver of peace. Send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. And let us together say, Amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו, אמן. La 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la, ve'imru,
May this Shabbat bring you the joy of learning and a much needed rest. Shabbat Shalom.
As we prepare for Yom Limud, for our day of learning tomorrow, I hope for all of us that we get to experience the sweetness of Torah, both the Torah from our tradition and also the wisdom, the Torah that we learn by being in community with one another. Wishing all of you a Shabbat Shalom.
Don't go away, Rabbi Bernie. I'm going to have to talk to the internet gods that may bring her back to join us here. Rabbi Bernie, can you come back and join us? Let's see if Rabbi Bernie can come back and join us. Look at that.
Hello.
Rabbi Bernie, on this Shabbat, is being honored by the Bureau of Jewish Education for her excellence and for her dedication to our community. And could it be more timely that the Bureau of Jewish Education chose to honor Rabbi Lisa Bernie on the Shabbat of Yom Limud at Leobek Temple, one of the most beloved, precious days on our entire temple calendar, one which will bring hundreds of us together in congregational learning, celebrating the gift of Torah in our lives. And so we say to you, Rabbi Bernie, a heartfelt Mazal Tov. We hope you enjoy. The Bureau of Jewish Education sent over a special Shabbat dinner for Rabbi Bernie.
Extra challah, which is huge in my house.
There you go. You gotta love that. It's very good. So Rabbi Bernie's going to be having a special little celebration at home, but we are all having a collective celebration of Rabbi Lisa Bernie, along with the Bureau of Jewish Education of Los Angeles, as she is honored for her incredible work in our congregation. 7 years as our associate rabbi and director of lifelong learning, and 2 additional years as our rabbinic intern even before that. So 9 years Rabbi Bernie has been a part of our congregational community, and we're delighted that the broader community of Jewish Los Angeles is celebrating her on this Shabbat. As well they should on the Shabbat of Yom Limud. You know, registering for Yom Limud is not the same as coming to Yom Limud. So I want to point out, if you've registered, what is that, Rabbi Bree?
That was wise, very wise. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, if you've registered for Yom Limud, that's great. Make sure you come. If you haven't registered for Yom Limud, it's not too late. We're always happy to have you. Come, join us in a full Shabbat of learning. That's how you do it. Right there. It's amazing. The internet gods are helping us all over the place on this Shabbat. And so that's where you go to register for Yom Limud. We'll look forward to celebrating this full Shabbat of learning. And I wish you a Shabbat Shalom u'minucha, a restful, peaceful, learning-filled Shabbat Shalom.